I'm going to be doing some screen recordings looking at Higher Logic and their use of Bootstrap as a web designer. And I used to build Bootstrap sites and themes from scratch. I had to learn how to use Bootstrap. And looking at how Higher Logic is using it, it's a little I guess, unconventional. Like one thing, this is just a blank site. I was trying to build like kind of a style tile with just some normal elements and just see how they look in Higher Logic. So just have some paragraphs here, unordered list, and then we have some interface elements, so a little more specific to Higher Logic. So we have some buttons, and then these are tabs. But just looking real quick, you'll notice if you look at the Bootstrap grid, the grid is used to keep everything aligned. But if you look at just where the logo in my first menu item is, you see at a certain breakpoint, something goes unaligned. I don't think it's supposed to do that. Seems weird. If we look back at the Bootstrap, and by the way, Higher Logic uses version 3 of Bootstrap. I don't know if they'll ever be able to upgrade to 4. I'll get into that a little bit too. But if you look at their grid, you can see the menu item there. Everything's aligned. You see how the whole viewport goes in a little bit. This is the container element. So normally we have a container element so we don't have our content kind of smushed against the edge. So you can see that container element keeps everything nice and kind of spaced out. One thing Higher Logic did was totally blow out the container element, which is kind of weird. Causes a couple issues that I'll be doing kind of a deep dive on the problems that causes. But right now, I was walking a client through updating some things in their site, and they had some of these Bootstrap buttons. These are call to actions, and I was explaining to them how if I go to edit these buttons, because I want to put in my page codes, Bootstrap elements. I was explaining you can't actually click on this to change the hyperlink control. If I just had a regular link, I can highlight that, put a link in, my page code, whatever. But these buttons, I'm clicking, I can't. So what I was telling them, you have to go back, go in, find, if you don't know HTML, this can look a little daunting, but this is where the link goes right there. And even if I add some spaces in here to make it a little easier, see what's going on here. I just have it's a paragraph with some couple A links. And now it's not that difficult. I can put my page code right in here, or just some hyperlink, whatever. And then I was looking at the recording back, and I thought, geez, that's if I don't know HTML, and I have to get in there just to change a link. I mean, I do have a hyperlink control. And then I realized it's kind of silly to tell people to go into HTML mode. And then one thing I realized, if I do a double click, I'm in that button. I can actually change the link now. So there's my page code. Cancel. Double click. There's my link, whatever. But double clicking, it's a little weird if all of a sudden I've been trained to single click on most things in higher logic. Some things you actually have to double click, but I think their UX is moving away from that. And then I realized, why are we're not actually confined to this double click or using HTML mode. There's just some CSS that's preventing us from like clicking into the buttons, and it comes from Bootstrap, and it's really these items. So it's called the user-select. So I've got my buttons here. I was just gonna Let me just take off these user select things. And I do want them on the front end, because if someone's on my home page and they're clicking a call to action, and if they kind of click on it, but you may have done this before, you accidentally just kind of move your cursor over instead of just a direct click. Well, it's not going to do anything because you didn't click it. All you did was highlight something. So there are times when we want that. So basically, this is the CSS I need to kind of cancel out. And because this is kind of a newish CSS rule, I guess, so that's why we have all these browser prefixes. But that's okay. So I'm just going to take all of these, but I only want this to affect my admin. And luckily, in my admin, my body, I have a hook, so I can actually use TinyMCE whenever I'm in TinyMCE and hitting styling a button. I can change that. So I'm in my theme editor here, and I'm gonna take. So this was all. Oh, and so I think just to cancel out this user select, I'm just going to revert to auto. That's usually a good way to get it to revert to its like normal behavior. And then so TinyMCE. So I'm going to write my rule here. Body pan TinyMCE dot button. So there's my whole rule, and your theme CSS does get loaded in the TinyMCE. So let me save that. Hopefully it didn't change anything on the front end. Okay, yes, I cannot select into these guys. Oh, jeez. Okay, it doesn't link anywhere right now, but so that looks accurate. Now let's test out my theory here. I'm in the admin. I'm in the TinyMCE, and look, now I just click once. I don't have to select all the text. I just click once, and I can change my page code. So I'll put this CSS, if you want it, in the Hug forum, or maybe in the video URL. And luckily, it's something you can easily add to your theme. It should probably be part of the higher logic code base, just so it should probably be there. There's a few of these things. I think higher logic is still learning how to use Bootstrap, but this is one handy thing. It should probably be in the code base, but until they put it in, you can use this CSS.